Once upon a time, high above the clouds, nestled amongst the twinkling stars, hung the moon, a celestial orb that had bathed the world in its silvery light for countless millennia. But one day, to the horror of all living creatures, the moon was stricken by an evil curse that threatened to plunge the world into endless darkness. It was up to the bravest of heroes to rescue the moon from its slumber before it was too late. But who would answer the call? Our story begins with the sun sinking below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. As twilight deepened, the stars began to peek through, but something was terribly wrong. The moon, usually a beacon of light in the darkening sky, was nowhere to be seen. A hush fell over the land as the animals huddled together, sensing the unnatural stillness. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Where was the moon? And why was it absent from the night sky? Deep within the moon palace, a grand and luminous abode made of pure moonlight, the moon lay in its royal chamber, fast asleep. But this was no ordinary slumber, for upon its surface was a crown woven from shadows and thorns, slowly sapping the life force from the moon itself. This was the work of Umbra, a sinister sorceress who coveted the moon's celestial power for herself. With the moon subdued, Umbra planned to reign over the heavens, plunging the world below into eternal darkness. The people looked up at the vacant space in the sky with worry etched on their faces. Without the moon's gentle light, the nights would be long and perilous. But their fear turned to horror when a prophecy, whispered for generations, began to unfold right before their eyes. The disappearance of the moon foretold a grim future, a world shrouded in perpetual night where nightmares roamed freely and hope flickered like a dying ember. As despair threatened to consume them, a glimmer of hope emerged from the most unexpected source, Princess Aurora, the red-haired princess. Known for her fiery spirit and unwavering courage, Aurora had always yearned for adventure beyond the confines of her father's kingdom. Now the fate of the world rested on her shoulders. Though terrified, she knew she couldn't afford to falter. With a determined nod, Aurora set out on her quest, her crimson hair streaming behind her like a banner of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Her journey was fraught with peril, each step testing her resolve. She traversed through whispering forests where gnarled trees seemed to mock her determination, their branches clawing at the fading light. But Aurora pressed on, her heart pounding in her chest, echoing the urgency of her mission. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet rumbled, and from the shadows, grotesque creatures emerged, their eyes glowing with a predatory gleam. These were the nightmare beasts, manifestations of fear and despair, risen to feed on the world's sorrow. Aurora drew her sword, its polished surface reflecting the determination in her eyes. With each swing, she carved a path through the darkness, her courage illuminating the way. But the nightmare beasts seemed endless, their numbers swelling with each passing moment. Just when Aurora's hope began to dwindle, a majestic white wolf materialized beside her, its fur shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Sensing her weariness, the wolf nudged her gently, its eyes conveying understanding and support. Recognizing this as a sign from the heavens, Aurora climbed onto the wolf's back, and together they soared through the starlit sky, leaving the nightmare beasts far below. Their flight took them to the Shadowlands, a realm of eternal twilight where shadows danced like phantoms and the air crackled with raw magic. Here, Aurora's true test awaited her. She had to retrieve the Sunstone, an artifact of immense power capable of banishing the shadows and restoring light to the moon. But the Sunstone was guarded by Umbra's minions, and to reach it, Aurora must navigate a labyrinth of illusions and deception. At the heart of the labyrinth stood a magnificent tree, its branches heavy with golden fruit that pulsed with celestial energy. Each step closer to the tree brought forth new challenges, testing Aurora's patience, strength, and most importantly, her resolve. Some fruits tempted her with promises of unimaginable power, while others unleashed illusions designed to break her spirit. Yet Aurora remained steadfast, her determination fueled by the belief that she could restore the moon's light and save her world. But just as she reached out to pluck the celestial fruit, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Umbra, her eyes blazing with malevolent power. With a wave of her staff, Umbra unleashed bolts of shadow magic, forcing Aurora to leap aside to avoid their searing touch. Their battle raged, a clash between light and darkness, hope and despair. Aurora fought with the ferocity of a cornered lioness, her movements fluid and precise, her blade a blur of silver in the gloom. Yet Umbra was a formidable opponent, drawing upon the very essence of the shadows to bolster her attacks. As the fight intensified, Umbra taunted Aurora, reveling in her opponent's struggle. But Aurora refused to be broken. With a final surge of strength, she disarmed Umbra, sending the staff clattering to the ground. Seizing the moment, Aurora plunged her sword into the heart of the labyrinth tree, causing the celestial fruit to burst forth in a radiant explosion of light. The light from the celestial fruit banished the surrounding shadows, revealing the true form of the labyrinth, now a mere husk of its former deceptive self. Aurora had claimed the Sunstone, its warmth enveloping her as she clutched it tightly, ready to restore the moon's light. With Umbra defeated and the Sunstone in her possession, Aurora's journey took her to the highest peak of Mount Celesta, where the very fabric of the sky was thinnest, allowing her to pierce the veil between realms. There she encountered the celestial weavers, ethereal beings who maintained the balance between light and dark, weaving the patterns of day and night across the heavens. The weavers, initially surprised by Aurora's intrusion, were swayed by her noble purpose. They guided her to the edge of the celestial tapestry, where the moon hung like a captive star, its light imprisoned by the shroud of Umbra's sorcery. With a deep breath, Aurora stepped forward and raised the Sunstone high above her head. Its radiant glow pierced the gloom, reaching out to touch the moon. As the light from the Sunstone caressed the moon's surface, the shadowy crown began to wither and crumble, releasing the moon from its cursed slumber. Slowly, ever so slowly, the moon stirred, its celestial light beginning to pulse once more. As the moon regained its strength, the celestial weavers sang an ancient hymn, their voices echoing with the power of creation. Their song wove the moon's light back into the tapestry of the sky, banishing the eternal night that had threatened to consume the world. And as the first rays of lunar light touched the earth, a cheer erupted from the people below. They had been freed from the grip of endless darkness. In the heart of the Moon Palace, bathed in the soft glow of its rekindled light, the Moon King and Queen awoke from their enchanted slumber. Overwhelmed with gratitude, they embraced their heroic savior, showering her with blessings and gratitude. But Aurora's humility knew no bounds. She had merely answered the call of duty, guided by her unwavering sense of justice. And so, was the moon restored and the world saved from eternal night. Aurora returned home, greeted by the adoring cheers of her people. She had proven that even a single spark of courage can dispel the darkest of shadows. From that day forward, the legend of the red-haired princess echoed through the ages, a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one person's bravery can light up the darkest of nights.